My name is Autumn White, and I first started attending North Road about 6.5 years ago. My first time coming, I was so scared of just being judged, and I'd put these labels on myself that I was unworthy, and I was ashamed of who I was. I grew up, whenever I was really little, I grew up in an abusive situation, which as I turned older, it turned into a sexual abuse. All throughout my life, I always looked for approval, looked for people to validate who I was. When I first came to North Road, it was completely different than what I expected. Whenever I walked in the doors, everyone was just so genuinely happy. And from the stage, Matt was talking about his struggles and being transparent, which I just never imagined a pastor actually doing that from the stage. And so it quickly became our home. Within a couple months of us going, my now husband, which was my boyfriend at the time, we had a daughter, and we were feeling convicted about our relationship and living together. And so we decided to get married. And throughout that, we decided to live a godly life before that marriage. Whenever we finally got married, we were still, at the time, we were still doing drugs and we were still partying. But God, within 2 months of us getting married, God just, He told us that that was enough, and He wanted us to surrender our lives down even more. And so we gave up drugs, and we started going to Celebrate Recovery. And that was a huge step. Us getting connected and to Celebrate Recovery caused us to want to go into leadership. It called us into being the worship leaders at Celebrate Recovery for a couple of years. It was like my first step of God calling us into something more, and to hopefully make a difference in other people's lives through our stories. And so after about 2 years of being a part of Celebrate Recovery, we decided that we were supposed to step up into more of a leadership role. And so we met with Matt, and in that meeting with Matt, he offered me a part-time temporary position working in the children's ministry. And within 2 months of me filling that role as the administrative children's director at the time, he just showed me that that's what I was meant to be doing. Working in ministry, my first year and a half, I would say, I still had to battle that unworthiness and being ashamed of the choices that I had made before coming to North Road and before pursuing this relationship with God. And about 3 or 4 months ago, I finally broke down to Matt and told him that I don't think I'm worthy enough for this. And he asked me a question that day that I don't think I'll ever forget, and something that I think we as people need to ask this question whenever we're feeling those doubts. He asked me, "Who called you unworthy? Who told you that you weren't good enough?" And it's like all the pieces fit together. I finally recognized that the trauma of my life, of being abused and being sexually abused, caused me to make a lot of choices that I didn't even realize that I was making. And through that, it caused me to view God in this way that I was supposed to do this checklist of praying every single day, all day long, and reading my Bible every day. And if I couldn't do my checklist every day, then I wasn't good enough, and I wasn't growing close enough to God. But in the past couple months even, God has just shown me that that's not what He wants from me. He just wants me exactly who I am. He wants me to come and just surrender to Him and recognize that I'm loved, and that it's not about my past, it's about what His purpose for my life is in the future.